You're going to remember this every day for the rest of your life. If you want to get to a goal, if you want to get to your dream, you got to focus on all the little steps. You have to put in your time. You have to be patient, and you have to enjoy the process. Whatever you're doing now, whatever you want to be great at, whatever you want to be special at, I'm sure you maybe already be good at it, but to be extraordinary, you have to do extra. I firmly believe that we are all here for a very specific reason, to do something truly extraordinary. But what are you going to do to get there?
Welcome to the Megna Method. Today we have Brent Saunders on the show. Brent is currently Chairman of Vesper Healthcare and was former Chairman, President, and Chief Executive Officer at Allergan plc. Brent has been involved in building up many brands, which most, if not all, have become household names. Listen as Brent and Marc discuss great leadership skills, a passion to be great at every step, and how consistent hard work does not equal luck. Brent, thank you so much for coming on the show. Super excited to have you. You've been an awesome member at 1220. I know you're a fitness freak and a fitness fanatic now.
I'm just trying to, keep up with like 1/10 of what you do. You're the motivation.
I'm trying, but it is awesome to see how you've grown in regards to fitness and wellness. And I know we're going to talk about your long history in health, but it is awesome having you in this. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I've always wanted to have you on this show because I wanted to hear your story, just hear your story in general. And then I know there's a lot of powerful lessons in there. And then from there, I'm going to ask you to school us on the necessary steps to, it's like necessary steps to have success, but the necessary steps to work towards something significant and special from your world, from your perspective. So please tell us about your start, where you're from, and how you got started.
Yeah, no, so happy to be here, and hopefully somebody finds us interesting.
Me too. I cross my fingers.
I started off, I grew up in Pennsylvania. I was a very mediocre high school student.
Really?
Yeah, I was one of those kids who I guess would be called today a classic underachiever.
Really?
Was never really motivated by school. Wound up going to University of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Was very active there, like in student government, was president of the student body, all that kind of stuff. But
that's cool.
But a very mediocre student as well. Gosh, I think I graduated with like a 2.9.
No way.
Yeah, so
I find that hard to believe. You're serious?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Had no idea what I wanted to do after college. Had no, all my friends had plans. I want to go to medical school. I want to be a manager of this, or I want to work in banking, or what have you. I had no clue. So it was not a great job market. So I figured, all right, just stay in school, like hide, right? Like try to figure out a way. So I went to law school. I went to Temple University. I was a Pennsylvania resident, so I stayed in the Pennsylvania State School because that was what I could afford for tuition. And so I stayed in the state school system and worked and went to law school, and just didn't know what to do. Hated law school. Didn't like hanging out with the lawyers. So I knew I was still lost.
Still don't.
Still don't like lawyers. No. No, I know a few good lawyers.
Of course.
No, actually, I don't know any good lawyers. I know some good people who are lawyers.
Of course.
But spent that 3 years working really hard and putting myself through school and knew I didn't want to be a lawyer, so added an extra year to go to business school, try to do something different. Practiced law for a nanosecond after all that ended, and then went to work in a hospital doing regulatory compliance and became the chief compliance officer of a big hospital system in Philadelphia. Loved it, learned a lot, got to spend a lot of time doing presentations for boards and being in front of our senior management team. So at a very young age, I got some really good professional experience, but also knew I wanted to get into the for-profit world. This was a non-for-profit hospital. Great to cut my teeth on. I was working crazy hours, but then decided to go into consulting, and I joined Pricewaterhouse Consulting. And gosh, I was in my 20s and became a partner within like a year or so.
That's amazing.
So like a meteor
That's
rise.
amazing.
Yeah, it was crazy. I think at the time, I held the record for the youngest partner ever admitted into Pricewaterhouse.
It's impressive.
I think my record may still stand, but I haven't checked it in a while.
We'll have to look into it.
Yeah, I'll have to check. And I did that, and that was a great experience. And I always actually tell people who don't know what they want to do, consulting is a really interesting option, management consulting, because you get to meet great people. You work on a diverse set of different issues and projects and with different clients. Got to travel quite a bit if that's of interest to somebody.
Right.
But also, you don't have to pick one thing. You get to experience so many things, and you become a bit of an expert in like 5 or 6 different areas, and that was really important. I became quite good at consulting, so much so that one of my clients wanted to hire me. And this was kind of like the most pivotal career thing I've ever did, because I was killing it at PwC. I was, for my age and my experience level, I was making more money than I ever thought I'd make in my entire life.
Okay.
And one of my clients said, hey, can you come and help me turn around this big pharmaceutical company? I really need you. Can you come? And I said, no, I'm great. I'll help you as a consultant, but I can't come work there. Well, after like a month, he wore me down, and I decided, all right, maybe I should do this because he's a legendary CEO. Maybe I can learn some things from him.
Right.
So his offer was about 1/3 of what I was making. So a 2/3 salary cut.
Are you telling me you took a pay cut for a great opportunity to learn something?
Yeah, so this is where I'm telling you the fork in the road.
Oh, yeah.
So most people would not do this. They'd say,
That's
no,
right.
I can't take this pay cut. And I actually said to myself, and I remember saying this, and I remember talking to my father about it even. I said, this is kind of a once-in-a-lifetime career opportunity. I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm going to work my ass off to make it work.
Right.
And if I don't make the money back over time, well, then it was just, that's the risk I'm willing to bet. But I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to bet that I can get back to where I was.
Of course.
It took several years to do that. But then
how many years roughly?
I started making probably around year 6 or 7 at that company. So about 6-7 years, I was back to making what I was making at Pricewaterhouse financially. That being said, experientially, what I was doing was off the charts. Like, I became a very senior person in that company. I took over their consumer healthcare. I ran brands like Claritin, Dr. Scholl's, Coppertone, a bunch of other ones,
powerful brands.
all over the world. I launched them in China. I mean, I got to do crazy things in terms of building brands and building, a business. And so I got to do a lot of M&A and did some deals. It was great. But it was a huge bet financially to do it. And gosh, I have zero regrets today.
Yeah, well, probably a bit scary at the time. I mean, you're probably a younger guy, somewhat of a younger guy when you took that chance.
I just had my first daughter. Yeah.
Wow. And not an opportune time because,
most people would have said, in fact, thinking back on it, I would say, you're crazy. You have a lifetime partnership is a lifetime job. I was an equity partner. I was all in, right?
And then you have a daughter, you need money,
right?
And you want to give her a good life, and probably not the best time to take a pay cut.
Yeah, no, it was, I was in a fortunate position to be able to make that decision, but gosh, it was a really hard decision, but probably the best career decision I ever made. And to be honest, I shit you not, to this day, in every job I've ever had, I've never asked for a raise. I've never negotiated my salary. Not sure anybody should emulate that,
right.
But I've never done
Understood.
Because I never thought about working as a thing where you had to maximize every opportunity you can to make money. It was about maximizing your experience, maximizing your opportunities, maximizing your own personal, professional development, and the money would come.
That's right.
And I'm very fortunate that worked out for me.
Right. Yeah. And I think that not only were you around good people that you trusted, but you kind of bet on yourself, meaning my performance, and if I go all in, it's going to follow suit, right?
I always say that if you're going to bet on somebody, why don't you want to bet on yourself? You control yourself a whole lot more than you can control anybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a great, amazing story there. And then you went from there. What was the next step?
So from there, the company was ultimately acquired by Merck. So I helped with that integration. I helped with that deal, and then
huge company,
right? But then I had to figure out, what am I going to do? I didn't want to go start over again in this new conglomerate. I was kind of the heir apparent to the CEO at Shearing Plow, which was the name of the company. And so I started looking for another job. And I had 2 really interesting opportunities. One with a big company as the president heir apparent to the CEO, a very established company, public company. And the other one was a turnaround situation, a company called Bausch & Lomb, an eye care company.
That's right.
That had suffered, it was a 165-year-old company, one of the oldest companies in America, from Rochester, New York.
Okay.
Made three different businesses: contact lenses and solutions, which most people know.
That's right.
Like Renew Solution, all that stuff. Pharmaceuticals for the eye drops and other medicines for the eye. And the third business was surgical implants and lasers and other things that are used in optical surgery. And so the business was dead last in every category. I mean, it had been in decline for 30 years.
Trending down, right?
Trending down, no revenue growth in 30 years. I mean, it was really in bad shape. It had gone private with a private equity transaction. They were looking for someone to come in and turn it around. And so I took that job. I thought of that as a bigger challenge and more opportunity than going and working in a very established company. Something back then, I was crazy. I just wanted more challenge versus taking the easy path.
And you must go into that saying, I know I'm going to turn this around, I'm going to ignite this thing, I can fix this, and that's a lot of fulfillment in that. Right?
By the way, I never thought I couldn't, but I probably was crazy to think that. I was probably arrogant because it was probably to this day, that was the hardest job I ever had.
Really?
Hardest job I ever had.
Just because there's so many things, balls in the air, so many things to fix. And
yeah, I mean, I was they had a revolving door of CEOs. So I was what the third CEO in 2 years.
Wow, short time.
Right.
Short time.
And no one, not a lot of resources, not a lot to work with. But I viewed it as a real challenge. There has to be some diamonds in the rough in a 160-year-old company.
Oh yeah. I mean,
there has to be a way to turn around a deflated workforce and get them motivated and get them supercharged to go out and win with customers and do well. So, that's how I approached that job. It was a very global company. It was much bigger in China, for example, than it was in the U.S. Bigger in Europe and other places like that. And so it was, I remember I took the job. I went up to Rochester, which where their headquarters were, and did a big global town hall that was webcast over the world, and then left and spent the next month on the road with sales reps and customers. And I think these people, all these executives, these vice presidents and presidents and general counsels and CFOs, we're like, where the hell did this new boss go? Like, he came here the first day, and we haven't seen him in a month. Where is he? But I didn't know anything about eye care when I took over the business. I was brand new to it. I didn't even know how to describe the anatomy of the eye, let alone any of the drugs or products used in the eye. I didn't even know how you even talk like contact lens language. I didn't even understand that. And so I thought the best way to do it is just go out and immerse myself and not hear from the top people, but hear from the people who make the products, sell the products, discover the products, use the products.
Boots on the ground, people
Boots
that
on the ground.
Yeah.
And those are the most important people in a company anyway. So I didn't know it at the time. I was just being selfish and trying to learn as much as I could about the business. But it really endeared me to the frontline people in the company. And it really taught me the lesson that if you win the hearts and minds of the frontline, everything else flows easier. Many times executives spend time talking to their direct reports, what is that, 10, 15 people tops, and they hope this kind of like filter system, reverse triangle works. I always say turn it upside down, right? Spend your time winning the hearts and minds of the people who make or sell or touch your customers. And who gives a crap about the high-paid people at the bottom, right? I mean, they're a necessary evil.
But the people that have their hands in the dirt, they're probably going to give you really accurate information, how they receive it from the clients and customers, right?
Right. I mean, just like you the people who touch your clients, those are the most important people in anatomy. They're the people who are going to create or make or break the experience for the customer.
Right, and give referrals and have positive experiences or wherever the hiccups are, how we can optimize our systems. That's the most important thing. Right. That's great.
Yeah, so we did that. We actually turned around and we started getting revenue growth. We did amazingly well. We wound up selling the company in about 4.5, 5 years later for an amazing amount of money, more than the private equity guys ever thought they would make. It was considered at the time one of the greatest successes in healthcare private equity. So amazing. Yeah. So then I had to go look for a job again.
It feels like you're always out of work. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, these are big 8 years, 5 years, but yes.
Big chunks of time.
Yeah. And I was trying to figure out what to do next, and I got recruited by a company in New York City called Forest Laboratories. really a company that made medicines or pharmaceuticals predominantly for CNS conditions. So it was depression. Lexapro was one they had discovered and launched Lexapro. Nemenda for Alzheimer's. It was basically brain drugs that impact the brain or work across the blood-brain barrier. And I saw a real diamond in the rough with this company too. It was a smaller company, but it had some great products. It had amazing, talented people, and it had a pristine balance sheet. And I said, "Gosh, I think if they wanted me to take it over, there was a big proxy fight with Carl Icahn, and there was all sorts of activists, crazy stuff going on." I said, "Look, if we can come around and we can make this a better company, my guess is we can go do things with this company that they never thought of." And that's exactly what we did. I found some amazing people in that company. I got them kind of re-energized, and we had an amazing team. And we went out and we did, I don't know, $250 billion worth of M&A over the next 8 years, and turned that company into what today is known, or was known, as Allergan.
Right.
And through some major deals and name changes of the company, but we wound up selling it last May to AbbVie for combined total enterprise value of $83 billion. So it worked out really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely put it in that bucket.
But we had some great brands, on the obviously the global leader in aesthetic medicine like Botox and Juvederm and CoolSculpting. That was about 25% of our business. 75% was real pharmaceutical medicines, but some great new drugs for mental health, like Vraylar for schizophrenia and bipolar mania, really help patients.
Right, and I've had some really wonderful interactions with you. I mean, I can just tell that you do these things because you have a sincere and genuine side to help people, and it's super important to you.
It is, and I actually say that's why I love working in healthcare, because you wake up every day and you can have a more noble purpose of trying to solve an unmet medical need, bring somebody a medicine that will make their lives better or solve their medical issues or hopefully cure their disease. But you can also do it in a for-profit way, and you can employ people, and you can
create jobs,
jobs and return for your shareholders and investors. And so it's really a nice balance of all those things. Now, I know some people say, "Oh, that's very hypocritical. Pharmaceuticals are really expensive. I can't afford my medicine." Absolutely agree with all that. We did a lot to try to solve for that, but that's a systemic issue. That's not really a pharmaceutical issue.
Understood, absolutely. And you put your heart and soul into this, and you're always trying to make sure that the greater good is there. Like, you're serving others. And we say we're serving others here, but you've been doing that your whole life, because
it's the same thing. You're making people's lives better by making them healthy, feel better about themselves, their self-esteem, their ability to function without pain or whatever. Right. It's all the same thing.
Right. We've all been in pain. You know how it is to go through your days in like real pain. And I talk to athletes, and I played 26 years of football, played professional football, and I have still to this day teammates that say, "I can take pain." And I always say, if you can take pain, then you haven't been in real pain.
Right.
Because real pain, you do not want in, and you don't wish it on anyone. You don't wish it on your worst enemy. So you're improving people's quality of lives, and just being able to take them out of pain and improve that quality of life, that's like a huge add value for the world. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, really. You can't do much more for people but help them live their lives to their fullest, and any way you touch it, it's rewarding, right? So it's an important part of the mission. I was offered some jobs that were really interesting jobs in other sectors, like retail and some really cool retail companies. And I always said, I don't know how you get motivated every day to wake up and sell clothing, even though if it's sexy, cool clothing. Right. But wake up and a lot of the times I would spend a lot of time with scientists talking about maybe a novel mechanism to solve a disease that hasn't been innovated around in years. And yes, we will make money if we do it, but we're also going to risk money. We tried to solve, for a novel way to treat depression, because I think that's such a big issue. Mental health is such a huge issue. We invested almost $1 billion trying to solve it. And I was pretty convinced we were looking at a completely new pathway in the brain to go after versus serotonin or norepinephrine, which a lot of the drugs work on today. And we failed. It was one of the worst days of my life. Not because we spent $1 billion, but because I had so much hope for what I thought we could do to change the landscape in mental health, and the drug didn't work. After a phase 3 study, a massive study, we couldn't beat placebo. And that's a tough position to be in.
Super tough. You go all in for something and you're trying to, solve a problem. It would have been a huge fix, but I think that's, from my viewpoint of who Brent Saunders is, like, you live to try to improve those situations in people, and I think that's a wonderful thing, because a lot of people try to serve themselves. You're trying to help other people, so kudos for that.
Well, in fairness, I try to help other people because it makes me feel better, so I'm serving myself.
Right. I say that all the time. I said I love working with people in improving their quality of life because it makes me feel good. So that's a bit selfish, but what can I say? I'm giving something to other people, right?
I agree, but I view it as completely energizing. So it is selfish. I do it because it makes me feel good.
Right. Understood. So you spend so much time, working with these big brands or taking companies and improving them, optimizing systems. I just wanted to get into, I've always wanted to ask you questions about building teams and leadership. So, you're assembling a team, and, I have the responsibility of assembling a team here. We have amazing leaders here, great PT heads, GMs. How do you approach building a team? Like, what are the essentials? I know it's a very broad question, but
yeah, I mean, look, you have to start by making sure you either hire, retain, and develop the best people, right? Because if people aren't skilled for the job or have the ability to be skilled for the job, you're always they're gonna absorb your energy. I always call them, there's two types of people in this world: the energy absorbers and the energizers.
Ooh.
Right? And you want to make sure you're surrounding yourselves with energizers, because not everybody's perfect, not everybody's ready to take on every job, but they have the ability to get there. That's when you get really excited about investing in them, right?
Very well said.
So you need a way to winnow out or recruit in the right type of people. But once you have that mix right, to me, it's about figuring out what works for that team. It's about the humility of leadership. It's about spending the time working with people, supporting them in difficult tasks, allowing them to try things and fail, giving them that freedom. And absolutely the worst thing you can do is micromanage good people.
Okay.
Because they're going to leave, or they're going to hate you, and it's going to be toxic to the culture. Good people need room to maneuver.
I couldn't agree more. It's super, super important, super powerful. And what would you say, like, there's some really key things that you're looking for in the people that you bring onto your team, or the people you work with? Like, what are those key things? I mean, obviously you can speak to integrity, communication skills, but what is the most important thing that you're looking for? Or some of
I mean, I would say the top things I usually look for are, and generally look at when I got to the last several years, the people I was directly hiring were very senior people.
Okay.
Right. We probably, at Allergan, we were probably hiring 1,000 people a week, but I was hiring maybe 10 people every 10 years because my positions didn't turn over on much. But I always would give advice to people that you want to hire people who have amazing intellectual curiosity and passion and humility. Those are the three things. Whatever order, I didn't list them.
Right.
But if you're in a field like I was in, a science-based company, if you don't have intellectual curiosity, forget it. We're an innovative business. I mean, if you don't want to ask, why does that happen? How does that work? What's the chemistry? What's the biology? How do you build that marketing plan? How do you bring in, social media into a world where you're regulated, what you can say or whatever. If you don't have that intellectual curiosity, you don't fit in this company. Right. And you don't want to learn, you don't want to grow, you don't fit in this company.
Okay.
If you don't have passion, for the patient, for the science, for the market, whatever it may be, for travel, whatever it is that excites you. You don't have something that inside this company that you can get passionate about, you're going to be an energy absorber eventually, and we don't want you.
Understood. Right. And you don't want people that you have, like, I always have a difficult time. I don't want to be the person that has to grab someone and motivate them. I can add to their motivation, inspiration, or their get up and go, but I can't do that for 100 people. Like, I just can't. They have to really want it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the way I would say it is, I guess at Allergan at the end we had about 30,000 employees. Wow. There's no way I was going to motivate individually 30,000 employees, but you need to have enough energizers around that when you say, okay, as a company, we're going to set out this year to conquer this. They don't need me to walk around and say, rah, 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 let's go. They get passionate about that, and they energize their colleagues. And look, there are going to be days and weeks when things don't go well.
Of course.
That people are going to be a little down. But, your office mate or your buddy that you eat lunch with picks you up and says, hey, come on, let's go. This is important.
Yeah, I would say that it's nice to have like fire starters all over the organization, and they take great pride, and it trickles down.
Right?
Yeah. It trickles down. So you're building a team, you have a wonderful, you put together this wonderful group, you're looking for these very specific characteristics or attributes. Now you have this team. Can you talk about the lines of communication and the importance of communication and how it should work? So what, just communication that you appreciate, chain of command, whatever is important for you.
Yeah, so, it's interesting. I have a very different philosophy than a lot of people in this. I'm an open book when it comes to communication. I don't believe in chain of command. I don't believe in...
Okay, good. No, it's perfect. I want to hear that.
I don't believe in because you have the bigger title or you have the more, senior job or whatever, that makes you more important or your time more valuable.
Right. I love that.
Yeah, and I'm really tough on this, and people think I'm neurotic, but being on time, and I was late coming here, so it's a really bad example, but being on time is so important to me. Starting meetings on time, ending them on time, because if you're the boss and you show up an hour late, you have amazing talent just sitting there waiting for you. You're wasting so much resources of your organization. You're demoralizing people. They're thinking, oh, he's more important than us. We're all having to sit here.
Right, and setting a terrible example. Like, maybe it's okay to get away with that every once in a while.
Well, once you start doing it as the boss, I don't care if you're the middle or the top, or you just have one person you manage. If you do it, then the person beneath you thinks that's acceptable.
And that's exactly what they're saying. Oh, it's okay then.
Yeah,
they are.
It's okay, right?
So,
and you don't return phone calls. You don't,
time and how quickly, how promptly.
Right. I hated wasting people's time. I early on got in trouble. People would, when I started at Bausch & Lomb, all of a sudden I started getting all these reports. Like every week I was getting reports. It took I came back from this first month trip. I had like a room full of different reports. And so I started going through them. I'm like, I'll never read these reports. And it dawned on me how many people in this organization just make things, and create these massive, complex reports for people who don't need them or read them. And so I started an exercise to remove unnecessary work. Like, we don't need that. If you have 10 reports, pick the 2 you need and cancel 8 of them.
Wow.
Right?
Freed up a lot of time as well.
Yeah, we wound up, it was a massive exercise, and it took a while for people to catch on what I was trying to do. But I said, if you've been doing something for 30 years in this company because you just do it, you don't know who reads it, you don't know why you do it, stop doing it and see if anybody notices or anybody cares.
Absolutely.
And if no one cares and no one notices, throw it all away. And everybody in this company has a right to do that. There's no boss or anybody who can get angry.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah.
I love that. We were talking before we jumped on the podcast, and we were talking about how much time it takes. People hear your story, and I don't think they can comprehend the massive growth that in what you've done, which is really special. So, congrats on all your hard work and success. But I just want them to understand the trajectory and the timeline and how long it takes, because let's be honest, there are a lot of people in this world today. They want instant gratification. They want it overnight, and I don't think they understand that. When we look at a resume, and at least when I look at a resume, if I see someone here for 5 months, 6 months, 1 year, 4 months, 8 months, all that tells me is that they haven't been in a place long enough to create or value relationships. And the relationships is what makes every business go. Yeah. So talk to them.
And also no loyalty. No, they don't see a real opportunity. Look, everybody makes one job mistake, and they jump and whatever. That happens. You got sucked into a job, you got there, you hated your boss, you get out.
100%.
Right, that happens. But if you see that chronically, people just jumping all over that jackrabbit kind of resume looking thing, I agree with you. That's somebody who is just looking to quick hit. They think they're worth more than they are, and so they're always feeling undervalued. And you can't you can certainly be undervalued in a job.
Yeah.
But you can't be undervalued every job.
Right.
You're doing something wrong, right?
Right.
There's a message in there.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's taking you like this long road and long path. And how do you, how would you communicate to, just the younger people today and help them understand or break down the power in consistency and, working hard towards something significant over an extended period of time? Like, how do you break that down?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, what I used to always say to people is, there's a work-life balance quotient or formula for everybody.
Okay.
Right? And where you decide to put the fulcrum on where you do that is a personal decision. That being said, if you decide that family or your hobbies are more important than your work, so be it. Live a happy life. That's fine. But if you have really, if it's important for you to be very accomplished in whatever it is you plan to do, and you want to be the best at what you do, which is kind of the DNA that I have, well, you're going to set that fulcrum in a different position. You're going to make sacrifices, and you're going to do things that people will never understand or appreciate. But I will tell you, there is zero substitute for hard work, and there's zero room to feel sorry for yourself. It's a conscious choice you make, and once you make it, go. There's no right or wrong, just go. But there is zero substitute for hard work, consistency, coming in every day and saying, I'm going to give a little bit better than I gave yesterday. And over time, compounding that is amazing strategy.
And I think you may have even said this to me one time. I think I get it. I've gotten it from you. I think I've gotten it from Barry. I certainly got it from Randy. Like, anything worthwhile takes time to develop. Like, I know you have these quick hitting things in life. I get it. I see it. But even like a Facebook,
that's so rare.
But it doesn't really happen like that all the time. It's
most of the time it doesn't happen.
Right. Yeah. So it that's what makes it hard. The fact that it takes so much time, but that's what also makes it significant. Yeah. Right. So what would you tell yourselves on those, long road trips? You said you went away for a month and you have to do all these things. And I know there's a certain part of you that, you have that drive in you, but that doesn't make it easy. Right. So what do you tell yourself when it gets hard?
I just focused on the prize, which is, we're making this a better company. We're coming out with better solutions for patients. There's a bigger picture here that's bigger than me. Look, I averaged the last 20 years, 300 nights easy 300 nights in hotels, away from my family, away from my kids.
And you have a family. You have a family.
And being a road warrior and being in some of the crappiest hotels, being sleep deprived, and all sorts of different sleep cycles from being in different time zones all over the world. But I never felt bad for myself. I have lots of friends who do really fun, and I missed everything. I missed every sporting event I was invited to, every concert I was invited to, every birthday party or party that my friends were doing, or trips. Yeah. I didn't really go on vacation for 20 years. And I'm not saying that for anybody to feel sorry for me. Right. It was my choice. Right. Because I wanted to do, it was important to me to be the best at least for me, where I set my parameter. I wanted to be the best at what I did, or I didn't want to do it. That was just how I thought about it.
I think that's super powerful, Brent, when you said like you didn't go on vacation for 20 years. You did it by choice. You weren't angry because of it. You did it because there was an intention behind it. You had a deep why behind what you were doing, and it didn't make you bitter. It made you better.
I never felt badly for myself. I always said, I'm doing this because this is my choice. I could easily have said, all right, I'm going to work a little less. Maybe I'd be where I am today. Maybe I wouldn't. I don't know. Right. But probably not.
Sacrifice, right? Yeah. Sacrifice.
Think of all the sacrifices, your top leaders make every day in your company to make this a better place for everybody.
Oh yeah. I mean, we have such amazing people, and they're working super hard. And
I see how hard they work.
Yeah, they do. They work hard, and I said I just don't want to let anyone down. I just want to do my part and try to keep up.
But it's so funny you say that, because I wonder if you feel this, because I certainly did. I felt like, gosh, I'm sure there's some former employees of mine that say bullshit to this, but I really felt like everyone who worked for me at these companies were my responsibility, and I didn't want to let them down. Yeah. I wanted the company to be successful. I wanted them to have better career paths, better career opportunities, better benefits, better pay, better bonuses. I used to say the best thing we could do is blow out the bonus plan and pay everybody more money. And it was like,
Oh yeah,
Right. It was like Christmas for me.
100%. Like I was telling one of the younger, super important people in our organization, it's one thing to take the leadership role and do what's required. It's another thing to take that role and make it better.
Right.
Like you need time to make sure that you can do more and go above and beyond. Like if I give you these responsibilities and this is what it is to be in that leadership position and you just do that, to me that's kind of like a failure. Right. You know, I don't want that, you know. So
you know what I say to people? Very similar.
Tell me.
I used to say to people, if you're a manager and your goal is to be a senior manager, when you become a manager, act like a senior manager. If you're a senior manager and you want to be a vice president, when you become the senior manager, act like the vice president.
It's smart.
Because then people start to say, you know what, he already acts like a vice president, or she acts like a vice president, let's make him a vice. It makes it so much easier for your boss when they see you acting like the next level.
It's so interesting. Yeah. Conversely,
there's a lot of people say, well, that's not my job. They don't pay me for that.
Oh my goodness.
Or that's not my title. I used to say,
oh my goodness.
But that's why I want to be the next level, so I'm going to act like that as soon as I get the next job. I always try to be one level above where I was.
100%. And it's amazing that you say that, because we have people that come in, and we have an incredible team across the board. I'm not just saying that, but we have a bunch of all-stars, and I think we've collectively done a wonderful job of bringing great people who really care. And they say, it's not, rah, everything's my job, but I need to worry about that too. If there's towels that need to go there, I don't care if you're leadership, if you're a GM, like everything. That's what it is.
I see you do it, and it's funny, it's infectious, but, I'll see, dirt on the ground, and obviously you run the whole place, and I see you the first person going over to pick it up and put the towel in.
Well, I don't want you stepping on that dirt, Brent.
No, I'm just saying, but you reorder the weights when they're out of order.
Oh yeah.
But now as a customer, it's infectious. I watch you do it, and I see it, and they're out of order. I go over and redo it because it bothers me now too.
Ironically, it's so funny you say that. Thank you for doing that. When we have someone that's in on a day pass, we know they're in on a day pass because maybe they don't put something away, and it's not. We don't come down on anyone at all. Not. We don't shame anyone, but it's just kind of funny that anyone who's a regular like yourself, whoever, they just put their stuff away.
Right.
It's just normal, and you go to other gyms. I get people from all over the country that go on trips with their families and they say, hey, Mark, what do you think of this? And they take pictures of dumbbells all over the floor, and I go, I have like a panic attack.
Yeah.
What's going on over there?
Right, but I did, like I would eat in our cafeteria. If I was in the office, I always ate in the cafeteria with everybody. If I went over and where you throw the trays away and it was all messy, I'd start cleaning up, and obviously people would come over and I'd say,
let me help you. Yeah.
I'm like, no, that's fine. Yeah. I'm not upset. I'm not going to go and tell your boss. It's just.
But that's in you though, Brent. That's something unique, that you care just a little bit more. And I always say there's a lot of power in just a little bit more. And you're not doing it to impress anyone. You're just doing it because in some way, shape, or form, Brent Saunders, reorganizing that is going to create a little bit better of an environment, period. And people go, why would I do that? I'm not getting anything from that. You're missing the point.
Exactly.
You're missing
the point. They
don't
see the bigger picture.
Right.
And look, you know what? Somebody who works with you or next to you will see you doing it and say, wow, he really cares about this company, right? He's a passionate guy. Like, he's picking up the garbage. He's reorganizing the tray area.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
It's for the whole community. You want it to be good for everybody.
Absolutely. So thank you for that. And now we talk in terms of leadership. You're certainly a leader. You've been a leader of many companies. What do you like to see in a leader? What type of behavior do you like to see in a leader? And I'd love to hear who you look up to as a leader. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think humility is probably the most important quality of a leader. And I'll say why, because
please,
most people who get to become leaders are, and there's always an exception, are exceptionally smart, driven, hardworking people, right? But what really differentiates good leaders from bad leaders is the humility, right? The humility to know that they don't know everything. The humility to know they need to surround themselves with people smarter than them. The humility to know that they can make a mistake and learn from it still. The humility to know that just because you have a big title doesn't mean you're more important than the next guy. That quality, I think, always defines great leaders. Look at Warren Buffett. Look at even Steve Jobs. These are guys that have Jeff Bezos even, right?
I can't
speak to the Jeff Bezos of today, but But when he was building Amazon, I knew him a little bit. I mean, that guy would pack boxes. He was, he was when he built and changed the world, and he really did. Amazon changed the world, as silly as that may sound. He was out there doing everything, and he only sold books for 12 years because he wanted to be the best at selling books before he could take on anybody else.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
So,
and how long did that go on for? I don't think people, maybe Gen X now or younger people now, they don't know that it was just books.
Yeah.
They weren't like the Death Star gobbling up companies the way they are now.
No, but even at the end of the last 5-6 years of him just selling books, everybody, all his investors, everybody wanted him to go sell other things. And he kept saying no. He said, we haven't perfected the model yet. And when we perfect the model, we'll be able to sell anything. Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so interesting you say humility is probably the most important, what makes a good leader and a bad leader. And I mean, that maybe that, I hope the message didn't go over everyone's head. Like, the worst leader is someone who's boasting all the time. It's like painful.
Well, because you know why? When you lose humility, you stop learning, and the second you stop learning, you start declining. And the second you start declining, you start taking everybody with you. If you're a declining CEO or leader, you're like the anchor pulling the ship down. I mean, you're just going the wrong way.
That is crazy powerful. I don't think people understand how destructive and damaging that can be.
Yeah.
It just, and it sets like a negative connotation. It sets like a toxic kind of environment, and it's just not helping.
No.
It's not helping. It's not, you want to trend up as a company, you want to do special and creative things. It just, it's kind of like it stains the culture.
Yeah, the way I've said it before too is if you think about it, if you have a humble leader, leadership is there to service the people who work, the frontline people, the people who do the work. If you have an arrogant leader, everyone's there to please the leader. That makes no sense. You can have 30,000 people in a company. You may have then 15,000 people on the front line selling and building and making a company. All trying to please one person. Sure, one person be trying to make 15,000 people happy. Isn't that backwards?
Oh yeah, I've seen the best people. I played for a handful of Hall of Fame coaches, and then in my opinion, the guy I played for in college, he was one of the best leaders ever, and I'm around great leaders today. They have this thing where they're not above anything, like nothing.
Right.
They will do it, and it always impresses me, and I see the way they act, and I'm just too taken aback by it. It blows my mind that I played for a guy who coached college football for 40 years, and he's on the field, like lining the field, and I'm looking at him like, we have people that do that. He wanted to be a part of it, not because he's got to do everything. It's just that he enjoyed being a part of things, and he wanted to help. I thought that was so powerful.
Yeah, I think that's right. But that's a guy probably who had immense passion, immense intellectual curiosity. He probably wanted to still understand how some of these things work.
Right.
And the humility to say, there's no job that's too big or too small for me. I'll do anything.
Right. He wanted to know why the lines are there, how far to the right. He could tell you more about a football field than the dimensions. It was crazy.
But that's because he kept learning. He didn't stagnate.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to, there was an intellectual curiosity to keep going. Even after 40 years of being an amazing coach, he knew there were still things he could learn.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And if you see this pad right here, it's ironic. I actually learned this pad from Bill Belichick. He would do a thing called the pads, and he would take notes over the course of a practice or a skelly or walkthrough, whatever it is, and he's writing down things that he picks up based off of plays down in distance, little things that he's learning, and they would go over the notes after every practice. And this guy's, his reputation, he's picking up things like no one's ever heard of. He's like, look, next time, snap the ball, make sure. Like, he was like the first guy to start rushing things, like snap the ball when they're making transitions, and he was catching people off guard all the time because he spent so much time deep into the details of what the hell's going on with his people and his personnel.
Right.
I was so impressed by that.
But how can you be a good leader if you don't actually understand what's happening in the business?
Yeah.
Right.
Super powerful.
And the best way to do it is get your hands dirty.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Get out there. Yeah. Get out on the field.
Get your hands in the dirt and be present.
Right.
Be present. We say the people that get what they want, the ones who show up to get it, you got to be there.
Right. But the arrogant leader thinks everybody should serve them.
Mm-hmm.
They should come to their office. They should come and be on their timeline and be on their schedule and be The reality is, if you're a leader, you should have the humility to try to make your people who work for you lives more efficient, their time more valuable.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's so backwards of
Right.
what most people think.
It's so true. And to speak once again to those leaders that have been super impactful in my life, they're always trying to see, how can I help this person rise up? I want to see this person win.
Yep.
What does that look like? Obviously, like, look, we have a company here. You have many companies, but within the framework of the company, we want you to excel.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to be there, you want to excel something else, I'll try to help you with that.
Right.
But I want you to be present, be passionate, do what we hired you to do in the most positive way, and just give it your all. And we all end up in a better place.
Yeah. I mean, I would end every meeting with a truly, meaningful, what can I do to help you?
Mm-hmm.
Every meeting, no matter who I was meeting with. What else can I do? We just met on the XYZ topic. How you doing? And what can I do to help you? Sometimes it was personal, sometimes professional, whatever. But what can I, because I'm here as the leader of this company to make you better and help you and support you. And I've got your back.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, I know you mentioned Buffett, Bezos, and Jobs. Are there any people like, when you were coming up, you were just people may not be noteworthy, or that are, we know the big names, that left a super powerful imprint on your path or journey, that you were like, you know what, this guy helped mold me, or this person, woman, man, whatever?
Oh yeah, no, there was the one significant, a guy named Fred Hatson.
Okay.
Legendary pharmaceutical CEO. He was the guy who recruited me from the consulting to take the big pay cut and go work for him. And to this day, I still stay in touch with him. I speak to him regularly. I seek his advice and counsel to this day. But I joke with him. I'm like, you hired this young kid, and you gave me so much responsibility. He said, I asked him, now, 20 years later, and he said, everybody thought I was crazy. He said, and I figured I'm just gonna keep testing you and giving you more, and eventually you'll fail, and then I'll be done.
You didn't fail.
And he goes, but you never failed.
Yeah.
He kept working harder and harder and doing the next thing.
That is great.
Because I said to myself, I'm never going to fail. I'm going to keep going until I'm your right-hand guy, until I'm your heir apparent.
And it had to be a part of you, Brent, that, this guy gave you a wonderful opportunity. It's not like, hey, I don't want to let this guy down, but there's a piece of you that doesn't want to let him down, right? Because
all of me didn't want to let him down.
Yeah.
Even though he wasn't paying me. He kept giving me more and more stuff and giving me more responsibility and letting me do new things and try new things. And I said to this guy, he was so humble. He had such humility. That's really where I learned that from.
Okay.
I said, gosh, I can't let this guy down. I'm going to work whatever he needs me to do. I'm going to do. Okay. And I remember sometimes like things would happen. A drug wouldn't work out. We'd have a failure in R&D or whatever. I could see he was a little down. And everybody was, I would always call him and say, hey, Fred, tough news today. What can I do to help you? What else can I do? And he'd say, well, you've done enough. It's been, no. I said, what do you got to, go home. Let me take something off your plate. Let me do something for you. That's and I wasn't kissing his ass.
No, I mean, it's super thoughtful as well.
But that's, you want turn it around. You as a leader, who do you want around you? You want people who got your back, who are supporting you, who, from time to time, leadership's a lonely place. Recognize that, maybe you need a little help.
Yeah, I need a lot of help.
Right, but it's not, that shouldn't be their sole focus.
Of course.
But from time to time, that's not a bad thing to have around you.
No, it's super, it just, I don't know if the word's fulfilling, but it makes you feel good when you know you have the support of the people around you, and it's legit, it's genuine. Right. It's really helpful. But
I like team sports, so, I played, not like you, I played high school football, but, and I was not that good.
But you played, but you understand the dynamics of a team.
Right, and teams are about, obviously you need your individual stats and you want to meet your own goals and performance levels. But at the end of the day, if you don't win the game, what was it all for? Yeah. Right. The W matters, and that's a team effort. No single player in a football game is gonna win a game.
No way. You can't win by yourself.
Right.
You need a lot of horses, man. You need a lot of people who care.
So you got to pick your teammates up sometimes. You got to motivate your teammates sometimes. You got to support your teammates. That's how I think of business.
Yeah. I mean, I all in. It's like, to be a great teammate is a skill set, and I don't think people understand that. I used to tell, I said, Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick, if a guy added something to the team, I'll tell you a quick story. We had a guy in training camp who was an offensive tackle from USC. That guy would stand up before nightly team meetings, and he was a comedian. And he was so funny because he would do impersonations of Coach Bill and everyone. And they would throw him up there. He would entertain the team. They would laugh. I tell you what, in training camp, you need a light moment. Right. You need it. You really need it. But they recognized that this guy was a great teammate. He had the skill. He was a comedian, but he was caring. He was a hard worker. I mean, that guy was like, we have 2 deep at offensive tackle, and then you have like an extra guy. He was like the extra guy the whole time. And I was thinking, I used to go home thinking, I just know if I got Coach Belichick in a room, he would tell me because he entertains the team. I just know it. Right. Because he added something so unique and special that we really needed because it got tough, right? Seasons long. And I just knew that guy was there because he entertained the team. Right. I just knew it.
But that's the point, right? Yeah. Everybody can contribute in some way.
Everyone has some specific skill set, and to pull it out, I think that's also the skill of a leader, pulling it out and helping.
And recognizing that adds to the team in a way that perhaps isn't easily, traditionally thought of.
No.
But adds so much to the dynamic of the team and makes the team better. So we're going to keep that guy.
Right. And as you said, that's what makes a guy like Belichick so special, that he identifies those things and he understands how we can all collectively be better because of the impact of this person's skill set.
Right.
I was always impressed by
That's a great story.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So what's next for you now? I mean, you just did this huge sale. Like you're doing very well. I know you're going to be on the cover of Men's Health soon. You're a training fanatic.
My anatomy training.
Oh yeah. Jose's going to get you there.
The best trainer in the world.
Yeah.
No, I did something that I think a lot of people were doing last year. I did a SPAC, which is basically a blank check company. Raised roughly $1 billion and went out and bought a company called Hydrofacial. We just listed on the NASDAQ a few months ago.
That's right.
Under the ticker SKIN, SKIN, and it's called the Beauty Health Company now. We changed the name, and it's doing great. We have a great team. I think we were just ranked yesterday by Goldman as the #1 performing SPAC in the country.
Oh, that's great.
And the business is great. We've got a good team, and we're trying to build a bigger, better, aesthetic beauty health company, and it's a lot of fun. It's great technology, great customers, and people love getting hydrofacial. So
it doesn't sound like you're getting tired of this at all.
No, I love to work. I'm probably not working like I did. In fairness, I as I described in my life of the last 20 years, I'm probably at 80% of that capacity. But there's a time to say, okay, I can't travel like that anymore. I need to sleep in my own bed and be in more of a routine. Spend more time on myself, exercising, eating healthy, and so I found a better balance. But I still love to work hard.
Okay, awesome, Brent. I cannot thank you for being on this show enough. Like you've been incredible. I just want you to give some advice. If you could give advice to your younger self, your 17-year-old self, the younger generation, they're coming up, they want to be super successful, whatever they do in any way they want, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably come at it 2 ways. If I were giving it to my younger self, I would have said, pay more attention in school. Having a foundation in biology and chemistry for what I did would have made my life a whole lot easier if I'd spent more time as a student, being serious. Unfortunately, I was a late bloomer. I didn't become serious till law school. But I think the advice, when you touched on it already, that I would say to most young people I see is instant gratification is a fiction. It's a social media phenomenon. We glorify these get rich quick people, and they're the exception. They're not the norm. There really is no path that works besides dedication, hard work, and passion. And so find something. Doesn't matter what it is. Find something you're passionate about, because when you work hard at it, you'll feel better about yourself. You'll feel more rewarded. You'll advance your career faster. But there's no substitution for hard work.
Perfect. That was awesome. And maybe now is a good time to speak to why it's so important especially with the state of the world, to be healthy, to invest in yourself, to train, to eat healthy. I've been out to dinners with you. I see the way you eat. This guy watches what he eats.
Well, look, I mean, the great equalizer for everybody is health, right? It doesn't matter how rich, how successful, how poor, how old, how young. When you don't feel well, that's the most democratic process of all, right? If you were one of the serious COVID people, it didn't matter your ethnicity, your sex, your sexual orientation, your wealth status. The virus got you.
That's right.
And so, if you don't realize that there's nothing more important than your health, and the younger you are, the more likely you are to not realize it because you think you're young and you're invulnerable. But the reality is there's never a time that not building that foundation, not investing, because we're going to, people that are younger than us are going to live a lot longer than we do.
Right.
The science of aging, the science of medicine, understanding, and having new genetic testing and new genetic, solutions to disease is exploding. But if you don't have your health, if you're not healthy, you don't have the foundation of health, which is, exercising and eating right, and mental health and taking time for yourself and clearing your mind and meditating, whatever it is you like to do, doing yoga, surfing, whatever it is. If you don't figure that equation out to keep your mind and body healthy, it won't matter what science does.
Right. Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, the last thing to get you out of here, you've been super generous with your time. I'm going to ask you like a series of questions here. You can pass, you can answer the question, whatever you like. Okay. Favorite restaurant in Miami?
Zizzi's.
Zizzi's? Really?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We went there the other night. That was great, wasn't it?
I love the sushi there.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
They did a great job. I didn't know that. Zizzi's. Okay, perfect. Do you have a favorite sports team?
New York Giants.
New York Giants. Sweet. Favorite athlete?
Gosh. I was going to say Michael Jordan.
I get a lot of Jordans. That's great.
I mean,
how can you not? Right?
Yeah.
I hear you. Perfect. Okay. Favorite pastime to do in Miami?
Be on the water.
Be on the water.
Yeah, boat.
Perfect.
Swimming, whatever. Be on the water.
Awesome. Favorite music?
Classic rock.
Classic rock. We play a lot of classic rock now in Anatomy.
Now.
Try to get it going. I know. We're trying to get it going.
You can't don't bring up music.
I know. Thank you so much. All right, classic. Thank you. Classic rock. All right, we're going to go favorite movie?
Step Brothers.
Step Brothers is a great movie.
Oh my God, I can quote that.
Oh my God, it's so great. Step Brothers. Favorite actor?
It's probably Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell.
Yeah,
he's the
so
man.
funny.
Do you have a favorite book?
Gosh, I love Ken Follett as an author, and he's got a bunch of different series. Pillars of the Earth, all of them, they're all great.
Okay, awesome. One message this is the last question, super important. You can either give a positive quote, or it doesn't have to be positive, a quote that you love, hopefully it is positive, or a message that you'd like to share with the world.
So the quote I probably use the most, it's probably not so inspiring, is the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. The second one I love, because I'm going to say two, because I'm never good at one.
Please.
Is the old, I forgot who said it now. Was it Winston Churchill? Well,
going to hell?
No. It seems like the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
People think hardworking people are lucky.
That's right. Man, I can't tell you how many times I've seen that. Yeah. This person just got rich. They just got lucky.
They're so lucky.
Oh my
goodness. They
killed
it. They're so lucky.
I know. There's a lot of work.
No, they worked 80 hours a week for 10 years.
Yeah.
And, we're
Oh, yeah.
relentless.
Well, you're certainly one of those guys. I can't thank you enough for being on the show. You've been awesome. You've given a lot of great lessons, a lot of great things for our community and our listeners. Thank you for making time to be on the show, Brent. You're awesome, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mark.